Hello, I'm here to show you my collection of several versions of what we knew from the TV show The $6 Million Man. The character was Lee Majors actually, and it was a great excuse to make toys because the show was very successful. And of course, the various toy brands came up with their own versions of it. The official one was from Kenner General Mills. They actually showed different characters. The main one was, of course, Major Steve Rogers. That was actually Lee Majors. And the figure came up with various features. You could see it had the bionic eye. It came with a button that actually allowed it to carry on this engine by twisting the head. This was, as I said, the very first one. There were other versions of it that came out later, like this one that actually came up with a total transparent bionic arm because the original one had only a couple of insertions on it. I'll show you a little bit more about the figures in a while. But of course, there was the Mexican version of the $6 Million Man, which was this guy here. It was called the Nuclear Man. It was because that was the name of the show in Spanish. And of course, no one will actually call this figure El Hombre que costó $6 millones, but we'll call it the Hombre Nuclear or Nuclear Man. Was basically the same version. This toy was actually made by a famous brand in Mexico way back then, Lili. And the Lili was the section responsible for dolls for girls, and Ledi was the section responsible for boys. But in this case, as you could see, they called the help from the section that was making dolls. And you could see one of the biggest differences between the Lili version and the actual version from General Mills. This shape of the legs. It was also a little bit taller. And then there was the Mattel version of it, which was Pulsar. This guy here, very tall guy. In terms of the figures, it was probably 15 inches. I'll brought up my ruler and we could check it out. It had all this transparent chest and you could remove the back part of his head. So that was the Mattel answer of that. And way back then, you have to remember that Kenner and Hasbro were separate companies. So unfortunately, I don't have the Hasbro version of the, if you want, the Nuclear Man or Bionic Man. But this chap here, this G.I. Joe here, is actually showing a shirt from, what was it? It was called the Atomic Man. And it was mainly the same body of a G.I. Joe with a different head that actually have also a bionic eye. And then it was some versions that came up also from Mattel. It was not only Pulsar, because you know this Pulsar is just a transparent guy with a lot of features, but didn't have really this bionic power. Well, in the international markets, they came up with this Bionic Man from the Big Jim action figure series. This was released in the international markets. So this was called the Bionic Man. This was one of the coolest ones because this had the two transparent bionic arms. It has, of course, the karate chop function from all the Big Jim figures, and it has a magnetic hand that in this case is carrying can of radioactive plutonium. So this was the coolest version of all. It was made in Mexico and made in Portugal, but there was also the most common version, like this one, that only have one arm, one transparent bionic arm here, right? So I'm gonna show you some of the features of these figures. Well, first of all, let's start with the Bionic Man, as I said, magnetic hand, and you notice it has the karate chop function. Very nice. And it was similar to the Big Jim figures, it's just that the sculpting of the head was different, and of course the arms. So same goes for this other chap here. Pulsar was really something to talk about. Actually, I will show you a little bit of the sizes before I forget. So in centimeters, you could see this guy was probably 24. Let's talk about inches. These figures were probably the shortest of them all, and they were around 9-10 inches. The G.I. Joe standard size, as we know, those were 12 inches. The $6 Million Man, those were a little bit above 12 inches. I would say probably 13, 15. Definitely the taller ones were these guys. Pulsar was way above 15. So as it's as the Mexican version of the $6 Million Man, they were very tall. Anyway, so I was talking about the functions, and I was talking about Pulsar. Well, basically, Pulsar was a very cool figure. It has a lot of removable parts. You could actually see what was happening here. I'm not very familiar with this one. I didn't have it when I was a kid, so that's why I cannot talk too much about it, other than the fact that it was kind of like Mattel's response to the Kenner version of the $6 Million Man, and it was super cool. Regarding the Kenner versions, well, this one actually, you notice it does, well, it does have a bottom here, but it's a little bit strained. It has a function that actually works with the arm. So you could move the arm with it. And the coolest thing about them all was the fact that you could see through the bionic eye. And as I said, these figures were actually made by General Mills Kenner. The classic one was this guy here. You could basically turn these, and sorry for the clothes, they're pretty old, but this bottom actually would help raise the arm that has this function. And the way to release it was by turning the head. And then there you go. You could see it goes down. Oops, I'm sorry about it, but I wanted to show you the arm that has these bionic adjunctions to it. It was connected to a full of cool accessories that came up with this toy line, and the resemblance of the actual star is excellent. It's very good. The version from Mexico, well, this one is a little bit loose, as you could see, and unfortunately this one does not have the functioning bottom behind, the bottom that actually works with the arm, but you could see it has the attachment of the arm as well. One thing that you should notice is this one, like the $6 Million Man was supposed to have an accident while traveling to space. When going back to Earth, his rocket crashes, and then he loses one eye, he loses one arm, and both legs. But they never really care about doing the bionic legs. So in this case, it has nothing in here, the Mexico version. But the domestic US version actually does show in a belt some kind of some sort of resemblance of electronics. Was supposed to actually show this as the fact that it did have bionic legs as well. So that's it. I hope you guys like it. and I'll be showing you more videos later on. Thank you very much and have a great day.